Hey, deserving listeners, Darcey and Stacey. Let's watch.
She told me, but on the other hand, I want to give Georgie the benefit of the doubt, but it's just really hard to believe everything that he says. I'm not chasing a man. I want my fiance to come to me. I want to feel loved. I want to feel embraced. I want to feel all the feelings that you get to feel from me.
Okay, she wants to feel loved. She wants to feel embraced, absolutely. But to say that I want to make you the way that I make you feel, so if that is true, then Georgi, should go on a mission to talk with her exes, to go behind her back, to accuse her of a bunch of things that are potentially distortions, make her feel like she's being rejected for no reason, to make her feel like she is the victim of a witch hunt. So there's that. Now, I don't doubt that for Darcey, she is primarily motivated by wanting to feel loved. Absolutely. I think that is a theme throughout her time on this reality TV show. And she wants that, of course, but her distortions, I think, are getting in the way. Now, I will hold out for the possibility, very possible possibility, that we don't know what's really happening behind the scenes. She is accusing him of being very closed off and reserved to the point of suspicion, and it seems possible. But it also seems likely, given what we've seen in the past with Darcey and seeing what Georgi is presenting, that Darcey is being paranoid based on her past, based on her relational traumas. So let's see if they can work that out. And if there's any evidence that Georgi loves and cares about her, it is through this event. So last night, she accuses him of all these things. She's been accusing him of all these things for a while. Goes behind his back, lies to him by omission, going behind his back to his ex-wife, and starts accusing him of all these things, which are possible, but there doesn't seem to be strong evidence for it. And he sits there, tries to defend himself, wasn't a jerk face about it. She takes off the engagement ring, puts it on a table, walks away, and lets her walk away, doesn't chase her, doesn't yell at her, doesn't speak ill of her. And then in the morning, he's in an interview and he's saying, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I think my ex-wife was talking stuff about me that wasn't true. And then they meet up and he initiates the conversation, even though she was the one who I think is being unfair, even though she was the one that walked away, even though she was the one that threw the ring, metaphorically, at him. He's the one who initiates, says, how are you? I missed you last night. He said, I don't know if I included that clip. Then she's upset and she starts to cry and he goes to her. When have we seen this kind of behavior out of a partner with any of these individuals? Kenny and Armando, maybe? The kind of patience and forgiveness and giving someone the benefit of the doubt and being the nice one, being the mature one, being, taking the higher ground of the higher path, taking the high road. That's what I mean. By saying, oh, you know what? She's been insulting me. She's been lying by omission. She's been hurting me, but she's crying right now and I can go to her. Now, there's two possibilities. One is that he's a nice, differentiated, mature, patient individual that Darcey should grab onto and never let go. Or he is a master manipulator. He doesn't care about her and he's just pushing past her issues because he's trying to get her money. I suspect it's the first one. Could be the second one. There's no evidence of the second one. But, well, I guess we'll find out.
You're kind of pushing me away with your insecurity, your questioning, your trust issue. I always show and never do something to make you feel that you're going to trust me. I get divorced. I think after this, you're going to trust me more.
That's your decision. You were already separated.
I'm not talking about this. You just again talk about something. You don't get the point. You never get the point.
Right. Now, I hope for the two of them, their sake, that he's able to remain patient, continue to remain patient. So he's saying that, look, I'm trying to love you, but sometimes you push me away with your paranoia and your trust issues, which I think is a fair conceptualization. And she isn't really hearing it, which lends itself to the notion that she lacks self-awareness, which therapy could help with.
The fact that he always blames me makes me feel like it's always my fault.
It's possible it always is your fault. At least what we've seen on camera. Of course, that's a small sliver of their total relationship. But the fact that you can't at least say, well, maybe it's partially my fault. But he's not blaming, right? He's saying, I want to love you, but sometimes you push me away with your accusations. You know, I guess that's a blame. And that's one of the things that some people will suffer from is black and white thinking and sensitivity to criticism. There's this very unfortunate, tragic catch-22 that when you treat children unfairly, they will experience this relationship in which they are being treated unfairly and they can't trust other people and they're having low self-esteem. And even though they leave those relationships and they're in a new relationship, that old relationship comes with them and will destroy the relationship that they're in currently.
I don't want to feel like that. I just keep giving so much, and it's like, why should I have to feel that way?
I wonder what she means behaviorally about I keep giving so much. Is it the money? Because if anyone is giving emotionally, it's him. He's the one that forgives. He's the one that has patience. He's the one that goes to her. He's the one that gives her space. He's the one that doesn't fight back. He's the one that doesn't get defensive. He's the one that hugs her when she's crying. He is giving emotionally to her. What is she talking about? Now, we don't see the whole relationship. Maybe she's referring to something that we're not seeing.
I feel that I love you. Okay? I feel like I need to honor who I am as a woman. And I don't feel like at times I'm feeling your commitment openly and honestly and emotionally.
There's that narrative, which we've heard before, of I need to stand up for myself as a woman. In the past, we could say that that was relevant. Here, I don't think it's relevant. Again, I don't know the full story, but it doesn't seem that way to me. I don't think you're being mistreated as a woman. I don't think you're being treated in a sexist manner at all. So what is she talking about? But it's this narrative that she has of like, you know, female empowerment, which of course is wonderful and important for us to respect and to honor for sure. But in this situation, I don't think it's relevant. It probably was very relevant in the past, and she is harmed by that. And she frames it like that of like, I don't deserve this, and I need to stand up for myself. I need to have self-respect. With Jesse, if I remember right, it made sense. With Tom, I don't think it made as much sense. There were instances where I think it made sense, but I think it was still, I remember thinking when she would talk this way with Tom, I remember thinking like, oh, I don't think that's the exact way that I would recommend seeing the situation. I think you're incompatible in some ways and there's some mismatch, and he does treat you poorly sometimes. So maybe it did apply to Tom. But in this situation, it doesn't seem to apply at all. But it's an imposed distortion, a displacement of the past. Some people refer to it as a projection. It's not technically a projection. So I worry about her. And as I've been saying from the beginning, I have high hopes for her. I care about her. I care about Georgi. And I hope the two of them are able to work this out, because I think this relationship can meet Darcey's needs. And I'm worried that she's going to sabotage it.
And until I do feel those things from you, I don't want you to come back to Connecticut.
We must be missing something. If she is accurate, or at least even kind of accurate, we must be missing some massive amounts of data, because we have seen nothing to indicate this. What are you hoping to feel? What behavior are you looking for? And that's what I would be there. It's like, okay, so let's say in a month, Darcey, things are totally different and you now feel totally secure and like he is treating you the way you want him. And I were to talk with you, then what behaviors would you see differently in him? Because I've had these kinds of conversations with distorted individuals, I suspect she wouldn't have a clear answer to that, because as she starts to think about behaviors that she wants from him, and she's like, well, actually, he kind of does that. Well, actually, he does that. So there'd be some sort of amorphous response, and it would point to a distortion, point to there's reality, meaning that he is giving her a lot of love. He just gave her a lot of love in the scene. He completely let it go. Another person in his shoes would be completely upset and ballistic about the fact that she, returned the engagement ring to him and has been treating him poorly this whole time. He is being extremely patient and giving. She's crying. He goes to her. He hugs her. In the midst of her yelling at him and accusing him of things, he goes to her. He puts it aside and hugs her and says, I love you. I'm with you. And so if we asked her, what behavior are you looking for? She would think, well, I would want that. Well, he does that. Well, he does that. Well, I'd want that. I suspect she would start to go down the road of, well, I just want my questions answered. I'd be like, okay, well, let's operationalize that. Or you want to interview him on his past? Well, yeah, I want answers. Okay. Georgie, would you be okay with that? Can we do that here in session? I'm guessing George would be like, well, if it'll help her trust me, absolutely. And come to think of it, that might actually help her, because the way that they have these kind of conversations is she's quite accusatory, and he shuts down, which I think causes this runaway train, this vicious cycle where she thinks he's hiding something and he feels like he has to shut down or else bad things will happen. And so maybe if there was a facilitated interview of her asking, or maybe even I would interview him as a therapist. Of course, I would never treat these people, but I would interview, say, tell me about your wife. Because I think she might have a hard time knowing what questions to ask. I don't know. And then she could listen to him talk about himself, and maybe that would make her feel more secure. I actually wonder if that would help.
I'm totally shocked that Darcey living without me. I don't know what to do anymore. Wherever I'm saying she don't trust me, and I don't know what to do to change her mind. It's kind of exhausting to deal with these things.
Right. So Darcey's efforts to find out if someone is going to reject her, to protect herself from rejection, can cause someone to reject her. Her hypervigilance and unfair behavior is causing Georgie to actually think about rejecting her in the end.
I'm leaving, and you have the room whether you wanted to use it or not. It's here.
And he is now without a home. So part of your paranoia is, why do you have that apartment? Or why are you still renting that room in that house? We need to get you out of there in order for me to feel secure. Let's go to Washington, D.C. to get you out of there. Okay, you're now out of there, and now you can't come back with me. So now you have no place to live. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.